On today's show, I'm going to share a story with you that was experienced firsthand by a close friend of my family. It's a little darker and a little creepier than the typical topics we discuss on the show, but for the month of October, I figured it was appropriate. So sit back and prepare yourself for one of the most unsettling and haunting stories that anyone has ever shared with me.
The first time it happened, I was sleeping and woke up because I felt a hand on my leg and I realized that I couldn't move.
And he come across this object on the ground which was the shape of a flying saucer. So he jumped out of his pickup and went down there, and there was 4 beings laying on the ground.
When I raised my head back up, I was turning my head, and out of my peripheral vision I seen something hop to a tree. And it was tall, about 7-8 foot tall, and it was black, real hairy, like a gorilla.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Nick Ryan, and this is episode 25. I appreciate everyone being with me today. I hope everyone's October has started off well, and the story I wanted to share with you guys today is a personal one for me. So without further ado, let's get into it. This story takes place in the small town of Milford, Michigan, situated approximately 45 minutes northwest of downtown Detroit. Milford is a quaint little town with a population of almost 7,000 people. Surrounded by water and multiple state recreation areas, it is a perfect example of a serene and safe Midwestern village. It is here that a very close friend of my family lived, and to protect her identity, I'll refer to her as Lisa. Lisa, her husband, and their 2 young boys are your typical loving family, working hard during the week and enjoying each other's company on the weekend. I remember going over to their house on multiple occasions during my childhood, and their home always felt warm and welcoming. As I recall, Lisa wasn't particularly religious at the time, but I always remember her being a very friendly and positive person. Lisa and my mother had been friends for many years, and had actually worked together several years earlier. Lisa was always very level-headed and even-tempered, and was never prone to exaggeration. As the years passed, our families didn't spend quite as much time together as we used to, but my mother and Lisa remained in contact, and would occasionally meet at local restaurants to reconnect and update each other on what was happening in their lives. Most of the time, there wasn't a lot of terribly important news to convey, and both Lisa and my mother would just enjoy each other's company. Around 1999, my mother and Lisa met for yet another of their monthly get-togethers. Everything seemed normal, but as the evening progressed, my mother could tell that Lisa seemed like something was bothering her. She asked Lisa what was on her mind, and Lisa said that she had experienced something so frightening that she hadn't been able to put it out of her mind. After a bit of questioning, Lisa explained what had happened. In the months before this most recent visit, Lisa had become significantly more involved with her local church. She and her family had been attending every Sunday, and Lisa had discovered a newfound love for volunteering within her church group. In fact, just weeks before her visit with my mother, she had agreed to attend a pilgrimage to Medjugorje, a town in Bosnia well known for its landmarks and a 1981 sighting of what onlookers believe to be the Virgin Mary. Lisa explained that in the months leading up to her trip, strange things began to occur. One evening after a long workday, Lisa and her family were enjoying a relaxing evening at home. They ate dinner, relaxed in the living room, and eventually Lisa decided that she was tired, and she made her way upstairs to the bedroom, leaving her husband and 2 sons downstairs. She brushed her teeth and changed her clothes, and proceeded to sit down on the edge of the bed. As she turned her body and reached for the covers to pull them up, she was startled to see what appeared to be her husband standing at the foot of her bed. He seemed to be facing away from her, and standing perfectly still, which seemed very strange. As she stared at him, she was bewildered as to how he snuck into the bedroom without her seeing or hearing him. Her mind reeled with confusion for what seemed like a minute or two. As she continued to look at the back of her husband, she slowly realized that the clothes he was wearing were not his own. This figure was wearing light blue jeans and a white t-shirt, and as she began to scrutinize more and more details, she could tell that this, in fact, was not her husband. It was at this time that the man began to turn, and Lisa felt a suffocating sense of dread. She couldn't find the will to speak or the strength to move. As the man slowly turned, his body began to change and shift into what seemed to be a hairy, reptilian-looking beast. Lisa was frozen, with a fear she had never experienced before in her life. The only thing she could do was stare at the monster now standing in front of her. As the creature faced her, its body fully changed, and Lisa described it as having horns. When asked for other details, she could only say that it was the most awful thing she had ever seen. She said that it stood there and that it never spoke. However, she had an overwhelming feeling that it was there to dissuade her from participating in her upcoming pilgrimage. After what seemed like an eternity, the entity faded and eventually completely vanished. Lisa called to her husband and shared her horrifying encounter with him. When he asked her what she thought it was, she confidently stated that it was indeed the devil himself. The following day during church, Lisa was talking with a close friend after Mass, and the friend could tell that Lisa was acting uneasy. When asked, Lisa told her friend about her experience, and after relaying every detail, her friend admitted that she too had had the same exact visitation from the exact same creature days before. As far as I know, Lisa attended the pilgrimage and returned safely. My mother and Lisa still stay in contact to this day, but Lisa no longer talks about the events that took place that night. What haunts me the most regarding this encounter is the fact that she believed this to be the devil. Not a demon, not some sort of evil entity, but the devil himself. I think this story is a good reminder that evil is never far away, but where there is evil, there is also good. Folks, that is all I have for you today. This show is going to be coming back to you in just a few short days. If any of you have experienced anything similar to this topic, as always, please feel free to leave comments below or contact me directly. You can do that at paranormalmysteriespodcast@gmail.com, or you can also visit paranormal-mysteries.com and click on the Tell Your Story link up at the top. Of course, you can also get involved by joining our forum and by following us on social media, where we are at ParaMysteryPod. That's at ParaMysteryPod. That's across all social media. You can also support the show by giving us a positive review over on iTunes. That is greatly appreciated. And while you're there, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and share the podcast with all of your friends. That helps us out more than you know. New episodes are available on all of your favorite podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher, just to name a few. As I said before, we're going to try to put out a few more episodes this month, especially since it is October. Really looking forward to covering some creepy stuff. I hope you all have a safe week, and I'll see you back here in just a few short days for episode 26. From all of us at Paranormal Mysteries, thanks for listening, and please remember, don't wait for the unknown to come to you. Get out there and find it.